Killing Sea. Chapter 12. Sarah stared at the empty shoreline. Oh dear God, the tsunami had surged around the whole island and torn out the village. Not a stick remained. Peter threw himself down onto a patch of soft grass and was instantly asleep. Sarah licked her dry lips. What was she going to do now? A few miles to the west, black smoke drifted into a big blue sky. Smoke from a fishing boat heading toward the island. Sarah laughed and clapped her hands. Then she realized that the boat's present course would take it a good ways offshore. She stopped clapping. She had to do something to catch its attention. A fire. Plenty of dry wood here for a big one. She'd throw in green branches to make billows of signaling smoke. She rushed about gathering moss, twigs, and leaves for the starter fire as her father had taught her years ago, on a camping trip. She arranged this material in a pit she scooped out with her hands. On top of that, she layered larger sticks and waited for the boat to draw closer. No point in starting the fire too soon. The boat grew bigger. The dull beat of its engine became audible on the breeze. Sarah knelt by the prepared stack with the gas lighter. The blue flame licked the twigs, which blazed for a moment before dying out. She rearranged the material in the pit and clicked the lighter's trigger. No flame. Another click. Still no flame. She shook the lighter and pulled the trigger again and again and again. She'd used at the last the lighter's gas burning off those leeches. With an angry cry, she hurled the lighter into the bushes. Tears of frustration streaked her cheeks. She raced down to the shoreline and waved and shrieked as the boat chugged past a half-mile offshore. It held its course and all too soon presented its disappearing stern to her. She sank to her knees in the mud. A big blank nothingness rose up around the edges of her mind, threatening to swallow it up. There weren't even any more real tears. "Dad," she whispered. Her father's calm voice came to her. "Look at Surf Cat, playing with those coconuts." She focused her gaze on Surf Cat, who was in a nearby palm grove planted in the jungle clearing. The cat stood on its hind legs beside an uprooted palm tree, swatting a dangling green coconut with its paws. God, after everything that had happened, the cat could still play? And it struck her. Coconut. Lots of them in the fallen crown of the tree, in easy reach. Sarah made her way over and twisted one of the young nuts off its stem. Now what? It was a tuna can all over again. She had to find something to open it with. She paced along the shore, scanning the ground for any sharp object she could use. Nothing. She came to the rocky ridge that had marked the village's northern boundary. Now, here was stone. Lots of stone. She recalled the time Mrs. Koningswald had brought into her history class a professional napper, a person who made blades out of stone, as people had done thousands of years ago. God, who would have thought that skill could come in handy? She should have paid closer attention. She picked up a rock the size of a football and threw it as hard as she could against the boulder. The rock bounced away. Wait a second, why not smash the coconut itself? She climbed the ridge looking for a suitable spike in the rock to puncture it near the nut's tough hide. To tear the nut's tough hide. Beyond the ridge was an inlet, a keyhole packed with spiky-legged mangrove trees. There'd be nothing there for her. She was just turning away when she noticed out of the corner of her eye something rocking back and forth between two mangrove trees. A wooden boat, its narrow open hull about 10 feet long, rocking on the incoming tide. A blue plastic sail was furled around two long pieces of bamboo. She made her way down the other side of the ridge and waded out into the mangrove muck to the boat. A few inches of water underneath the floorboards stank of fish. A paddle rested on the cross plank that served as the seat, as though the fishermen had casually left it there minutes ago. "Hello, hello," she called, but only the clicking of crabs answered her. A wooden handle was stuck behind one of the rib planks. She reached across the hole, but didn't have the leverage to pull it out. The hole listed as she clambered over the side. She tugged on the handle, and the rest of it appeared, a fisherman's cleaver with silver scales dotting its dark blade. She whooped with delight. From the Stone Age to the Iron Age, just like that. She bent over the side of the boat to wash the machete in the water before hacking open the coconut. Even with the stout blade, it was harder than it seemed, and the coconut repeatedly spinning out of her hand onto the floorboards. When she had barred part of it, the hard brown shell, it cracked in the wrong place, and coconut milk sloshed into the dirty bilge. "No," she said, quickly righting the nut. Fortunately, the remaining milk, sweet as heaven, slaked the burning edge of her thirst. She whacked open the rest of the nut to scoop the soft meat out with her fingers. The quiet was suddenly shattered by Peter's faint but hysterical screams rising from the other side of the ridge. "Sarah! Sarah! Where are you? Sarah!" She grabbed the oar. Fear galvanized her awkward paddling. "I'm coming!" she shouted. His screams ceased, and her imagination feared the worst. A tiger. "He's okay, he's okay, he's okay," she chanted as she stroked. When she rounded the point, she saw him on the shore, bent over and coughing hard from his screaming. She stopped paddling, limp with relief. He looked up at her, and she waved the oar. He was still pale from his fright, but trying not to show it now. "Look what I found," she said, patting the hole. "Where are we going to go in that?" She had looked at the empty horizons up at the fair weather clouds scudding across the blue sky. She noticed, too, how Peter was beginning to flush with fever. Yep. Oh, he said, we're going to go in that? And she said, yeah. She chopped open 2 more coconuts for her and Peter. He drank the milk out, but said he wasn't hungry for the meat. Eat, she said. You sound just like Mom. No dessert until you do, she said. He smiled and ate a few scoops. When he was done, he helped her gather the rest of the coconuts off the fallen palm and stocked them in the boat. While Peter rested, she searched along the edge of the jungle and found a type of wild, fruitless banana tree with long, broad leaves. She cut down 6 leaves and put them in the boat to provide shade. She unfurled a plastic sail. It took her a while to figure out how it worked. One pole remained upright in a hole in the boat's forward crossbeam, while the other skewed at an angle, stretching out like a triangular sail. A line, a sheet, she heard her father say, was tied to the second pole, and this held the sail steady to the wind. I guess we're ready to go, she called out to Peter. He boarded and crouched in the front hull, holding Surf Cat in his lap. She brushed off the beach, the sail flipping, the sail flapping in the mild breeze. When she hauled on the sheet, the boat tilted to the side and surged forward with surprising speed. You sure we're going the right way? Peter asked. God, how stupid of her. She hadn't thought of that. She studied the lay of the island, the sun, and the direction of the boat. As far as she could calculate, they were heading in the right direction for the last town they'd been in. Out on the horizon was a haze that could only be the tops of the clouds over Sumatra's mountains. Malibu, here we come, she said. Huh? Peter said. Malibu? Where we got the engine fixed. Malabo. Okay, Malabo, Mr. Smarty Pants. You can speak to the natives when we get there. She tied the sheet off on a peg obviously meant for that purpose. Peter gazed brightly around him and then seemed to instantly run out of energy and curiosity, curling up before the sailpost with bent knees, his head cradled in his hands. She put several of the banana leaves over him to protect him from the sun, and stuck another inside one of the boat planks to give her a strip of shade. Can you feed Surf Cat for me? Peter asked. Using the tip of the machete, Sarah pried open a hole in the can of cat food. She thought about opening the can of tuna, but decided to save the tuna for when they didn't have the coconut. Surf Cat ate all the cat food and then fearlessly crouched on the bow of the boat to lick his fur. The boat sailed itself, putting down a straight, thin wake. With nothing to do, Sarah became conscious of her dirty teeth. She had always been particular about brushing and flossing before bed, and now her teeth felt mossy and all gunked up. It drove her crazy. She rubbed them with her forefinger and scratched them with her nails, but that didn't satisfy her. A piece of nylon fishing line wound around one of the boat's ribs. She picked it off, washed it over the side in the sea, and used it as floss. When she was done with that, she used the tip of the machete to dig out dirt from underneath her fingernails. She hadn't had a chance to do them. Behind them, Tiger Island dwindled, and around them the sea changed from brown to blue of open ocean, a color that made the whole seem awfully small. She scanned the horizon, hoping to see a ship. And right there, a smokestack rising from a funnel. She jerked upright, blinking her bleary eyes to clear them. The dream vessel had vanished. She splashed water on her face to stay awake, but her tiredness had pulled her down into her arms, the heat and the boat's rhythmic motion lulling her back to sleep. A thud woke her. 2 enormous claws rose out of the water, accompanied by a rapid huffing noise. For a second she thought this too was a lingering dream, but the claws didn't vanish. She screamed, sure that the sea monster was attacking them. But it wasn't a sea monster. The claws were hooves that scrambled up to the side of the hull, tilting it into the water. Then the water buffalo's face appeared, its reddened eyes round with fear as it tried to climb aboard the tiny boat.